Okay, welcome. This is Sean from A Fistful of Bolts, and we're really excited over here because we've just launched and finished up our second preset pack. It's called Grit City, and the presets were something that we've had around for a long time and that we've had finally a chance to refine and get them packaged up and get them available and out to you guys. So we're really happy. We have 8 different looks. It's actually 5 colors. 3 of them have faded variants, and then we've got 5 different black and whites. So there's a lot to kind of work and play with. But these are looks and things that we've been using for a long, long time. It's just something that we've finally had a chance to get out to you guys. Finally, they'll be available for ACR. It's not something that I use, so I'm not going to be showing you guys how to use these in ACR, but it's essentially the same thing. I just feel like Lightroom is a little bit easier to work with. The main thing is this is I'm a wedding photographer and I shoot volume. I have tons and tons of photos to go through. Um, and my intention with these is to be able to get through the images as fast as possible. Also, with these, you're going to be adding to the preset, not taking away. So it's kind of an epidemic now with presets where they're overly saturated. There's too much contrast. You've got to go into the specific color channels and remove things. Well, with these, you're not going to have to do that. If anything, you're going to want to add you're going to want to add a little contrast. You're going to want to add a little saturation. Um, but for the main part, you're probably just going to be able to click on it and then go adjust your color balance and your exposure, and that should be it. So let's just take a look at it. What I'd like to do is adjust my temperature first. I feel like this image is fine how it was, so I'm not going to touch it. But I am going to bring the exposure up just a little bit because I like things kind of bright and poppy. So here's the main one. It's called Rusted. We can see it side by side now. Here's the Rustin Faded, and you can see it side by side there. So with this faded one, maybe you want to come into the exposure. Maybe you want to bring the blacks down a little bit. Maybe you want to add some contrast. I don't know. But let's take a look now that we've just kind of messed around with it a little bit more and see how it looks. Oops. There we go. There, whoop. Hold on. I can't keep up with my computer. So there's the before on the left and after on the right. Let's try another look. This one's called Hilltop. Bring the exposure down a little bit. Let's take a look at it big and see how it feels. And this one's called Cascadia. This one's going to have kind of a green undertone to it. Maybe you want to add a little bit of saturation. There you go. Let's take a look at it big, see how it feels. But if we're making any changes at all, they're usually pretty basic. There it is. Just little things. Okay, so the next one's called Point Defiance. And this one's Point Defiance Faded. So again, maybe these feel a little too desaturated. That's no problem. Just come in and bump it up until it feels right. But this way you can bring it and dial it in until the skin looks good to you rather than really have to kind of get into the separate channels and figure out what it is exactly that you need to remove. All right, let's go into Destiny. I think this one's super cool. And Destiny Faded. And maybe you want to bring the exposure down a little bit on this. I had it up plus almost a full stop, so I'll bring it back down. All right, let's get into the black and whites. And these ones I'm really proud of. Really happy with the black and whites. This one's 6th Avenue. that I was just on, you got to be real careful with because it has a real chrome look to it, and the skin tones get a little bit funky. So just keep an eye on that one and maybe use that one sparingly. Let's take a look at this one, kind of backlit. Uh, Color temperature is super hot. I don't necessarily want to bring it down. You can if you want to. But I'm just going to reset it. I'm going to keep it as is. And I'm not even going to touch the exposure. I'm just going to apply the preset as is and run through and see how they feel. Here's our black and whites. And the last two are variants. They're just really kind of alternative looks, but some of you guys might really like them. All right, let's see what else we have to play with here. This one is fun. So shot in India at the top of the hill in Jaipur, Rajasthan. I'm just going to pull the exposure up a tiny bit, and I'm just going to run through these. Here's Ruston, Hilltop, Cascadia, Point Defiance. Oh, it's a little hot maybe still. Okay. We got Destiny here, and then here's our black and whites. So these are just things that we have just kind of built for ourselves that work for us, kind of reflect the style and the feel um, that we like as photographers, and we're passing that on to you guys now. Let's take a look at this one. I'm going to bring the exposure down just a little because I feel this is a little exposed. And then I'm going to just run through them again, guys. So a lot to work with, a lot to kind of explore. Let's take a look at this one. This one is kind of a mixed light. So we have a side tungsten light, and then we have a kind of a twilight happening. Excuse me. And I think this one's really going to shine with Destiny, with the one that has kind of a deep blue shadow. There we go. And here's our black and whites. So if you guys have some questions, I'm going to try to check out. I'm going to try to stay up with the comments in underneath the post here, and I can reply to you guys, or at least I can try to. So I'm just trying to give you guys as many examples as I can of what these look like, how they work, what kind of changes or changes that you don't need to make, just to show you that they're really simple and that they're meant to kind of work just right off the bat. Let's reset this one. Just off the bat, I feel like this one needs a little boost with the white balance. All right, let's run through these again. Nice skin tones. And so some of these have an alternative look, like Cascadia has kind of an alternative look. So it's interesting. So Cascadia here um, has that green kind of undertone. Now let's try the same preset on this file. And there it is here. So outdoors, it works really well during twilight. So there it is before, and there it is after. All right, let's look at the rest of them. Here's Rustin. Here it is faded, Hilltop, Cascadia, Point Defiance. Destiny. Faded. So maybe this is feeling a little bit dark for you. It's super simple. Just bring up the exposure. Just little tiny changes can make a big difference. Let's see how this looks black and white. Yep, these black and whites are my favorite. A lot to work with. Let's see how this looks. It's kind of a fun photo. Yeah, nice. Okay, moving on. All right, guys, I'm gonna just do a few more and then get out of your hair. So I think this just needs a little boost, exposure, a little boost, white balance. Let's run through them. Let's look at this one side by side. Nice. Just subtle, nice, smooth color transitions. Just very simple, very basic, very clean. Okay, let's try this one. This one's a little bit harsh. See how this works. So just bring the exposure up just a little bit, and let's run through them. Yeah, working. It's working. Looks good. Let's try this one here, and then we'll just call it good. So I'm going to bring the white balance up a little and the exposure up just a touch. Okay, so this one, maybe we need a little more contrast. I'm just going to bring that up, bring the blacks down a little bit. Let's check those side by side. Perfect. Looks good. All right, guys. Thank you for taking a look. Like I said, if you have some questions, feel free to get in touch. And like I said, we're really excited to get these out finally. Um, yeah, guys, thanks a lot.